You know, we've been warning you about that statin or those statin drugs, Crestor, Lipitor, those drugs. Well, a researched study in Finland indicated that those who took statins were 47% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
And if that holds, I dare say the class action lawyers are going to be licking their chops. This will be like a feast before a hungry man. And they will go after those guys. And oh man, the payday will be huge. Well, to shift a little bit, it's like a horror movie from Hollywood. The winter that wouldn't die. Still another storm is sweeping from Texas to New England, bringing snow and ice, along with flooding and freezing rain.
100 million Americans are in the path of that storm, with airlines canceling thousands of flights. Mark Martin has the story.
It's been a winter for the record books in the East. In Boston, they need a little more than 2 inches of snowfall to break the all-time record there, which is 107.6 inches, nearly 9 feet of snow. And all of that snow is having an impact. In the last 2 days, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency received 28 new reports of building collapses or structural failures because of snow.
Every roof is a concern.
And winter is not over yet. This collapsed garage trapped 4 cars in Spencerport, New York. That's where Tim Thomas is working 7 days a week to clear roofs.
I've been in business about 40 years, and I've never been this busy in the middle of winter.
At least 24 states, from Texas to Massachusetts, are under winter weather alerts. Thousands of flights have been canceled, and there have been long delays. A passenger in Dallas took these pictures, showing the ice that left her plane stranded on the tarmac for hours. Poor visibility and icy roads amount to dangerous conditions for drivers. Check out this car in Denton County, Texas. It hangs over a bridge. The driver counts his blessings.
If there was any other way that this would happen, how might I be here? So, I'm feeling blessed.
At least 6 states brace for another snow emergency. Nearly 500,000 students could be affected by school closings across the country. That includes Washington, D.C., where the federal government is also closed. Mark Martin, CBN News.
You see, there is no wind that doesn't blow some blessing. Washington is closed, so you can rest easy for one day. They won't be hurting you. That's a good thing. But nevertheless, our heart goes out to the people in Boston. Dear me, it's been a horrible thing. And who knows what this has done to small businesses, what it does to the workers, what it has done to the cost of municipal services in New England. It's just been awful. Well, the Democrats are saying, is there some alternative to Hillary? The 2016 presidential campaign hasn't even started yet, but Hillary Clinton is already in the middle of a potential scandal. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. Here's John.
Secretary Clinton is urging the State Department to release the emails from the private account she used when she was Secretary of State. She tweeted late Wednesday saying she wants her email open to the public. The possible Democratic presidential candidate is under fire for running her own private email server instead of using an official State Department email account as required by the government. Information security experts say Clinton's private email system puts sensitive data at risk. They believe a foreign intelligence agency could have gained access to official State Department material by hacking her server. And now a House committee investigating the terrorist attack against the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, has issued subpoenas for her emails.
Not need a law degree to have an understanding of how troubling this is. There are chain of custody issues. There are preservation of materials and documents issues. One should also be concerned about the national security implications of former Secretary Clinton using exclusively personal email accounts for the conducting of official U.S. foreign policy.
And Pat, Clinton's private account gave her control over what she kept in her email archives.
Well, I think, you know, after a while, people are sick of the Clinton. There's always some scandal. There's Whitewater, and there's this, and there's that, and there are dead people, and there's Southern Mafia, and who knows what all else goes on. And then Now we've got that scandal, those huge amounts that the Clinton Foundation has taken from foreign governments. And they've raised, what is it, $500 million or something? It's an enormous amount of money that charity has raised, and they're getting big donations from the Saudis and the Kuwaitis and various other Arab nations. And how is that going to affect a future president of the United States? It just doesn't look good. But the Democrats it's almost like a coronation. So what are they going to do? Well, they've got to do something pretty fast. Well, other news we have about that speech. Man, that was a hot topic. Karl Rove roasted the president in today's Wall Street Journal about the way he handled that whole matter. It was very inept, and the Prime Minister of Israel is speaking out about what has been said about him. John.
That's right. Prime Minister Netanyahu has responded to President Obama's criticism of his address to Congress this week. Mr. Obama charged that the Israeli leader didn't give any viable alternative to the international deal that's supposed to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Netanyahu disagrees. He said he presented a better deal and a practical alternative.
I propose in Washington placing 2 new parameters on any deal with Iran. First, place tougher restrictions on Iran's nuclear programs, extending its breakout time to the bomb in years. Second, I call for lifting those restrictions only when Iran ceases promoting terrorism, ends its aggression against its neighbors, and stops threatening to destroy the state of Israel.
Meanwhile, the first Israeli poll conducted after Netanyahu's speech showed he might have gained slightly in the race. Pat, Israelis will vote in national elections on March 17th.
The emails will show that David Axelrod, who was the president's campaign advisor from previous races, sent a list of so-called talking points to the president, and he used virtually verbatim what Axelrod said. So that wasn't exactly original, but that's where that criticism came from a campaign operative. You just see it's almost like a little puppet up there with strings being pulled. John?
Pat, the Boston Marathon bombing trial is in its second day, and the bomber's defense attorney started by admitting that Zohar Tsarnaev is responsible for the deadly attacks. Prosecutors showed never seen before video of the deadly blasts and images of desperate life-saving attempts. Some of the survivors took the stand describing the events that injured more than 260 people and killed 3 others, including 8-year-old Martin Richard, who was standing with his family just feet away from where the suspect is seen dropping a backpack containing one of the 2 bombs. Tsarnaev's attorneys say he was coerced by his older brother, a defense they hope could help him avoid the death penalty.
Given the amount of evidence the government has, I would suggest it's the only strategy.
One of the prosecutors said Tsarnaev believed he was a soldier in a holy war against Americans. He faces 30 federal charges, 17 of which carry a possible death sentence. Well, in health news, statin drugs, which help people to lower their cholesterol, could increase a person's risk of type 2 diabetes by as much as 46%. That's the finding from a new study from Finland that followed nearly 9,000 men for almost 6 years. The researchers said statins appear to increase the risk of diabetes in several ways, including increasing someone's insulin resistance. But the study authors did point out that since the research was only conducted on white men, the finding may not necessarily apply to women or other ethnic groups. Some experts believe the benefits of statins still outweigh the risks. One told Health Day News that each doctor and patient might have to discuss and weigh the risks and benefits to decide the proper treatment. And Pat, this has widespread implications considering statins are among the most prescribed drugs in America.
Well, it's a big, big mistake, and we've got the man, Dr. Sinatra, is here with us to talk about cholesterol, the cholesterol myth, and we've been banging away at this one for some time of the dangers of these statin drugs. I tell you, folks, if you want to get rid of your aches and your pains and your suffering and your anguish, then get off of the statins. There are a lot of simple ways of lowering cholesterol if that's necessary, but you'll find Dr. Sinatra, very enlightening, and he'll be on this program shortly.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says the city's public school system will close for 2 Muslim holidays next year. They're the first Islamic holidays recognized by the nation's largest school system, which includes more than 1 million children. De Blasio says the move means that hundreds of thousands of Muslim families will no longer have to choose between sending their kids to school or observing the Islamic holidays. Well, some good news from Liberia. It could be Ebola-free in just 42 days. The last patient infected by the virus was released today. Officials say there are no other confirmed cases of Ebola in Liberia. The head of the Incidence Management System encouraged Liberians to stay committed to the anti-Ebola regulations. The outbreak in Liberia was discovered a year ago, and since then, nearly 10,000 deaths have been reported. And you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.